What's up, everybody? Steve here. Foreclosures are up 700%. Sounds scary, right? Well, I'm going to show you this article by Motley Fool, and I'm going to bring you into the back-end analytics of my MLS here in Southwest Florida, because I think that a lot of the headlines could be misleading. I mean, they get to the point in this article, but I do want to show you that I don't believe that there's a big rush of foreclosures coming to market at this point in time because of the equity position a lot of homes that people have right now. Now, it's not to say I don't think that the housing market is going to get worse, because I believe it will get worse. With that said, because of the moratoriums and everything that we had going on, and there was basically essentially zero allowed foreclosures by law by the federal government, it caused basically a depletion of any kind of foreclosure proceedings, which is why we now have these exponential percentages like these headlines that we're seeing. So let's jump in the article. We'll talk about it more, and then we'll jump into my back end MLS, and I'll show you really what's going on in Southwest Florida here, so you can get a feel for what's going on. Also, everything in real estate is micro, so this area is different than your area, and it's important to really look at the micro economics associated with your real estate market before you just rely on any said information across the board. But it goes on to say foreclosures are up 700%. Is this a red flag for the housing market? I'll drop this link for you guys in the description below as well. January 2022 saw a massive jump in the number of foreclosure starts, with Adam Data Solutions reporting 23,204 foreclosure filings, a 700% year-over-year increase according to Black Knight. Rising foreclosure rates aren't great news for the housing market because they could be an indicator of distress. A 7 times jump sounds massive, but even a small uptick in foreclosures would have been a notable increase when compared to recent levels. Moratorium protections that prohibited lenders from initiating foreclosures during the pandemic resulted in lower number of foreclosure filings since this data has been tracked on a national level. Today, foreclosure starts, while much higher than recent past, are still below pre-pandemic levels by a lot. In 2021, there are a total of 151,000 foreclosure filings for the entire year, which is 69% less than pre-pandemic in 2019. For the month of January, there are 56,000 foreclosures filed in 2019, 58% more than the number filed in January 2022. Foreclosure filings are continuing to rise month over month, with February 2022 seeing 25,000 new foreclosures, 11% increase from January 2022. Now, obviously, these numbers sound much larger when you break it down into percentages. And I'm curious because I know that there's a lot of people that bought real estate and sometimes they lose hope, and sometimes they're in messy situations like divorces, and especially when there's a lot of financial issues amongst a family. I believe that's like the number one cause of divorce. A lot of times, the partners, they just conflict. And unfortunately, they throw their hands up. They don't want to work with the other partner on trying to sell the house or whatever the case is. And then they just kind of let everything go. So if that is you, or somebody like that, be sure that they have a real estate agent run some numbers to see if there's equity in the house. Because I think that, we've had tremendous push on equity valuations for real estate over the last, especially in the last 12 months. And I think that a lot of these properties that might be going into foreclosure probably have a positive equity position. Mortgage delinquencies are the most telling signs of the rise or fall of future foreclosure filings. Right now, there's no reason to believe foreclosure starts will jump dramatically, given the national delinquency rate is sitting at a low 3.3% as of January 2022. This means that roughly 2 million delinquent households today have solid alternatives to avoid foreclosure. But just because today's numbers remain low, that doesn't mean it can change. Inflation is a growing concern for Americans. And it is. I think a lot of people are getting squeezed. The high gas prices, the high cost of just food, insurances across the board are increasing, real estate taxes are increasing. So there's a lot of other factors that are increasing the household expenses. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are going into more debt not good debt. They're going into credit card debt, which is, you know, not fixed rates, and the Fed keeps increasing rates. So that short-term debt is just going to go higher and higher. And I think that a lot of people are going to be in worse positions regardless of the current foreclosure statistics that we're looking at today. I think that there will be an uptick in foreclosures and distressed sales and short sales in the future because of just the basic cost of living has just tremendously increased. There's also a notable backlog of loans that are previously in forbearance that haven't been addressed. And maybe I could use your help on this too. These are loans that are in some type of active loss mitigation or completed loss mitigation efforts, but still remain past due. And the ultimate outcome of the loans, either foreclosure, repayment of debt, or a long-term loss mitigation solution like a modification, isn't known. They didn't say short sales either. Short sales will probably come back where you're basically selling the property short of what is owed, and the lender agrees not to foreclose on you. They agree to take that loss, and then whether they're going to forgive the deficiency is up to that lender and what you guys agree on. Back in the last real estate recession, we did a ton of short sales. We helped a lot of people avoid foreclosure. But my question for you guys, maybe you do know this, is how can I get my hands on the information of how many people are in loss mitigation that haven't basically finalized it, or how many people are in that forbearance that haven't really come to their final destination on what they're doing with their property? I'd really love to know how to get my hands on that data. So if you guys know, drop a comment below. I'd appreciate it. That's about it there. All right, let me jump over to our local MLS. This is for Southwest Florida. This covers primarily Lee County and Collier County in the state of Florida. So this is Southwest Florida. It's the Gulf side. Beautiful area. If you've never experienced it before, awesome area. But I'm just going to show you guys. So right now I'm clocked on residential. So that's basically anything pertaining to residential, where it's a single family home, condo, townhome, manufactured home, pretty much any kind of home. This does not take in consideration land or commercial property or anything like that. So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to simply, so right here you can see the in total right here, you got 3,500 properties, and I'm just going to simply click foreclosed. And when I do that, I got 7 matches. And since I have short sale right here, let's go ahead and click that. And we got 2 matches. So per MLS, right now we have 9 distressed properties. Now that doesn't mean there's other properties that are not distressed that people just don't have on the market, or maybe they're on the market and they're at that teetering point that if a buyer doesn't buy at a certain price, they're only willing to pay, you know, X dollars, that they're not upside down where they'd have to come to the table with a check at closing and they probably can't afford it. Then they might be in a short sale position. Who knows? But right now, per active inventory on our local MLS, there are 9 distressed properties. So that is not a lot in any sense, obviously. But I do think, like I said, we will see an influx in the future, especially when things start leveling out. And you got to understand, too, let's say you bought a property, you know, 6 months ago, and you bought it for $400,000, and you know, things are changing. Our interest rates are going up, so the market's starting to kind of flatten out here. We're starting to see more price reductions. But let's say you bought a house for $400,000, and the value is for what you paid for it, but you put, say, 5% down. So you you did a loan to value 95%. Now you only have 5% equity in the deal, but you got to remember, if you listed it and sold it for exactly what you paid for it, $400,000, you're probably gonna have 8 to 10% in closing costs, not to mention any money that you put into the property. So if you got 5% into it and it costs you 10% to sell that property, that's another 5% at closing you'd have to come up with. And 5 times $400,000 is $20,000. And I know a lot of people might not have a check to throw that out. So there are people in any real estate market that have to sell. This is reasons because of a death in the family, a divorce, a job relocation, Maybe a house is just too expensive and they got to get out of it because they thought they could afford it. Or maybe one person, maybe the husband lost his job and they're just relying on the wife's income. So people do have to sell, and there are motivated sellers in every market. So I would just be cautious about that if you guys are buying real estate in today's climate at these prices, because I think that they are tremendously high. If you guys want more content on the housing market, investing in real estate with a little kick of personal finance, I'd appreciate you subscribing, because I'm bringing that to you guys every single week. And if you got value out of this, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Appreciate you guys being here. See you.